Welcome to Startup with Ferris. Thank you all for tuning in. So, what's new in the world of entrepreneurship? Business owners, and I'm not referring to just new entrepreneurs, but even those who have been around for a while, can be so busy chasing new leads, they neglect or forget that they could be sitting on a gold mine of leads, sales opportunities, and revenue. And folks, I don't make this stuff up. On the average, and for years now, I speak with 1 to 2 entrepreneurs and business owners every week about how to overcome challenges they're facing in building and growing their businesses. And this lack of sales process and the sales muscle, it is typically one of the top items, strategic and tactical items that they need to address. Now, this is my own observation. In addition to that, and according to a recent annual report by business.com, only 25% of small and mid-sized businesses have a CRM. Now, check this out. 25% use it, but of those who use it, 61%, they say that CRMs improved retention rates in terms of their clients due to using the tools. And another 14% said their cost per conversion decreased when they implemented CRMs. Cost per conversion meaning you have leads, you convert them into clients. So you are talking about significantly improving your bottom line here in terms of converting leads, and also in terms of just retaining customers. But I understand the challenges that business owners face in adopting new technology and also in using CRMs. I've been there myself. So some business owners, they don't think they have the money to invest in a system like a CRM. I'm going to tell you, if you don't have a CRM, you'll be losing so many deals, uh, that money will be the money you'll spend on and the time you invest in implementing a CRM will be almost insignificant amount of revenue you'll generate, additional incremental revenue you'll generate. And also remember that if you are just starting out, we did have a DIY CRM, a whole episode on it, and we'll link it in the description. So you can start with a Google sheet or an Excel sheet just to get started in building that sales muscle. So, but I understand if you have a concern about money, you think it's going to cost you a whole lot of money. I get it. You can start small, you can start slow, and do something in a Google sheet, as we have shared with you previously. Now, other business owners, they might cite complexity and think that you have to be a software engineer or a very technical to use a CRM or to make the most out of it. Well, you don't, especially for small businesses. You can start using the system out of the box, and then gradually, as your needs evolve, you can then use more advanced features, and then you can customize the system later. And then I also see and hear from other business owners, they think they don't have the time to invest in a software and a process and a system. Folks, let me tell you, no process, no system equals no scaling. If you are serious about growth, you must find the time to plan for and implement systems in your business, not just in sales, as we have been talking about in this series, but also in accounting, in task management, in delivery across in HR. So if you are serious about growth, about scaling your business, it cannot all be in your head or on post-it notes and spreadsheets. But I'm here to help. I want to make it easier for you, navigating how to scale the business and navigating the entire CRM territory to increase your revenue and achieve your business goals. But before we jump into today's topic, let's recap, because we've been covering CRM for a while, and we have a number of articles actually that we've published on the site and about to release in the next week or so, all about CRMs and about the sales process. So check out the website at www.startupwithferris.com. But to recap what we've covered to date, we talked about the number one thing we covered was why a CRM is crucial to your business. I highlighted some statistics earlier today, but we spent an entire episode on it. So if you are a salesperson and the business owner is not convinced that they need to invest in a CRM, you might want to check out that episode. And again, we'll leave all the links for all the previous live streams in the description. The other thing we covered was on the 3 benefits of CRMs. We also had an episode on examples of the type of data and the types of insights you can get out of a CRM to close more deals. We also had an entire episode on choosing the best CRM for your services business. And then we had that DIY CRM, that Google sheet that we shared with you with examples. I had a walkthrough on how you track your leads, the type of data you want to capture, how you track your sales opportunities, and the different stages you have in those opportunities, and the concept of a sales funnel. And then last week we talked about CRM implementation, how to unbox your CRM and put it to use quickly. Now, today we will cover 5 practical tips from the trenches, including some do's and don'ts, and then wrap up with 3 lessons learned from my early times when our very first business, when we started that CRM, and it took us a while for us to figure out that we needed one, and it took us a while to use it properly. So I want to share with you again 5 practical tips on how to make the most out of it, including some do's and don'ts, and then the 3 lessons learned that I went through many years ago. But before we start, as always, a few housekeeping items. We'll include, as I said, the links to all the entire CRM series in the description on the YouTube channel. Or if you are listening or watching elsewhere, please let us know. And if you don't have access to the links, the other thing is, please continue to send us your questions and comments, either directly on the channel on YouTube or LinkedIn or wherever you're watching this video, on Instagram or on X, or if you want the question to be anonymous, you can submit the question in the form in the description below. We have a link to a Google form. Now, my request, humble request, whether you're watching or listening live or tuning in later, please let me know if you like what you're hearing, and then also what feedback you have for us and what other topics you'd like us to cover. We spend a lot of time planning, researching what entrepreneurs are looking for, and it's my mission to help you grow and help you succeed and help you scale. So let me know, what is it that you like to know about, and we'll include that in future live streams. And typically I personally look at the questions we get and send you a customized answer. And if you have a very specific scenario or a situation and you're stuck, I want to help you get unstuck. We have this Ask Ferris sessions. These are 30-minute sessions. We don't charge, we don't sell, no gimmicks. It's just time with me to help you. Again, maybe you have an idea, you want to bounce it off of someone. You have a specific challenge in sales and marketing and HR, and just you're thinking about starting a business and you haven't started. So go ahead and go to startupwithferris.com. Ferris is spelled like my first name, Feras, and go to the Ask Ferris and set up a time, a 30-minute session where I, again, listen to you, help you, point you in the right direction. And I also learn from these sessions. So I look forward to speaking with our community and our folks who are in this mode of scaling and growing their business. Awesome. So let's jump right in. Right. All right. So 5 tips, the first 5 tips here on driving a client engagement, because CRMs can help you improve that client engagement in so many different ways. Number 1 is personalized communication. So you have data in the CRM, and I want you to use the data to personalize the client interactions. And this way you're addressing the specific needs and the preferences of your client. So for example, if a lead tells you that they prefer to maybe get case studies, or they prefer for you to send them specific type of information, maybe on a weekly basis, maybe on if you have any maybe discounts coming up, or if you have some new features that you'll be rolling out, or whatever the case might be. You have that data in the CRM, in that leads record, and then you can review it before you send the next email next week and say, hey, John, or hey, Jane, um, any update? Or I send you that email. Have you, when is it a good time for us to talk? Instead of just sending a generic email to your leads, always personalize the email based on what you learned previously from your interactions with them, as well as from what you're learning about their company and about maybe about their vertical, about their sector. There's some new regulations. There might be some maybe in some news about something going on in their industry, or maybe it could be something personal. If someone is in an area where there was a hurricane recently, or maybe if there were something happening in the region, you can check on them. You can make sure that message that's going out is very personalized, and it builds on what you've learned before from from interacting with them and learning about their business. So tailoring this communication to each client, it shows your attentiveness, and it builds trust and strengthens the relationship between you and them. And the more, here's where, like, here's the thing: if you only have a few leads, you can keep that all in your head, and you can act on this without having to take notes and all that. But as you are working with more leads, as you are growing the business, as you're doing more networking and outreach, you are collecting a long list, hopefully a long list of leads and sales opportunities. So you lose track of what this person wanted, what this person is interested in, who's the decision maker, what is the decision maker, what type of information is needed to provide to the decision maker. So all of that is context that you need around this opportunity and around this lead. So I want you to build that habit, build that muscle to enter data in the CRM, to include the emails you send to your clients in the CRM. And there, again, a lot of the stuff could be integrated. A lot of these CRM systems have these baked-in features, and now with AI, you can, even if you have a phone conversation with a lead, all that can be made available to you in the CRM system. So that gives you a lot of context. So if you're sending a bland generic email to a lead, sorry to tell you, you're being lazy. It doesn't work that way. We get bombarded by generic emails and by spam. So the more you got to spend time on customizing the email based, and again, what you learn about the client and the lead and their circumstance. So that context should be available, and is if you're doing keeping all the engagement and interactions in the CRM, that context is available at your fingertips in the CRM, and will help you, as I said, customize the outreach. So since we can't speak for more than a couple minutes and not mention AI, I'll also say that a lot of these tools, now you name it, HubSpot, Salesforce, others, they have already incorporated AI capabilities, and all this stuff is now baked in. I mean, some are more advanced than others, but I think within, maybe I don't want to say weeks, within months, most of these systems, if they want to survive, they have to incorporate AI. And CRMs, actually, it's full of data, right? About the lead, their industry, about the opportunities, the stages of the opportunity. Like, all of that data is easy for the system to consume, and come back to you with something that's actionable. So for example, you can use an AI assistant in a CRM system to tell you a bit about a summary of the history of the lead. So if you're passing on the lead to a new salesperson you hired, or maybe to a colleague, you have, instead of them going through maybe 40 emails, you have a summary from the AI assistant. The AI assistants these days in the CRMs can also prompt, or can also bubble up a summary of a recommended response to a specific client. So we're not spending the time today about AI in CRMs, but I'm giving you an example of if you've adopted a CRM, as we covered in last week's session, and you're starting to use some of these features. They're there for you to use. Initially, maybe you don't want to get into the AI features, and maybe they're too complicated for you. You're just tracking the data about the lead, and and their contact information and just notes from your conversations with them, that's okay. But gradually explore these new capabilities. It will make your life easier. And then on this tip that we're covering today, it will make it easier for you to personalize the interactions between you and the client. So um, one disclaimer always, one reminder: when you're using any AI tool, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, or these AI assistants in the CRMs, make sure you review, validate the data, validate the summaries that they're giving to you. Don't use this thing blindly. You want to be use AI responsibly in that context, and don't just copy and paste something that the system will output for you to use. Very tempting, but do a quick double check and make sure it's, again, personalized. And if it has the word delve in it, I think people not know by now that AI prefers, at least ChatGPT always seems to always include the word delve. Okay, in whatever response it gives us. Let's see. Before we go to the second tip, second of 5, see what questions we have. What about if I want to send an email to all my contacts? How much can I personalize that? A good question. So if you want to, let's say you're launching a new service, or maybe there's a promotion, discount, what have you, or maybe that you are attending a conference. You can use, a lot of the CRMs have this tool, this capability of sending, mass emailing your contacts and your leads based on a certain criteria. Maybe everyone who lives in Houston, I'm going to be in Houston, for example. So there are some native capabilities within these systems. For example, you can have, hi John, hi Jane, is, the system will pull in the first name and the last name. And typically there are ways, again, you don't have to be a programmer. Most of these systems have videos on how you can customize. You can insert specific things, maybe the name of the opportunity, or something that is available in a field. So that's, those systems have these capabilities. Now, one thing to keep in mind, how annoying, or at least it comes across unprofessional, if you get an email from someone that says hi and then their last name, or hi and then the syntax is wrong, there's like a comma and it's blank. Why do we get these types of emails? Because in that, the sender's CRM, they did not clean up their data. They did not do a thorough review of the data, and it happens to all of us. So if the field that you're pulling the data from, let's say the first name field, or maybe the last name field, or maybe the name of the company field, if that field is incorrect, the data in that field is incorrect or missing. So when you automatically, the system pulls that data into the email template, then that incorrect data or the missing data, the blank will show up in the email. So before you do these mass, emails or these campaigns, just always, and we'll talk about this later as a tip, always make sure the data is complete, is thorough, especially the fields that you are going to use in any automation, in terms of sending emails to a number, to all your contacts. Good question. So again, this takes a bit more time, but the outcome will be better, and you won't have someone. And again, all of us, we make this happen. Sometimes you're too busy, you want to get this email out, and then you forget to check, and sometimes you use the wrong field. It's very embarrassing. And one time I did this, and I didn't have one of my team members do a quick QA on it, and then I ended up, I think, say hi and then the last name in the field I was using. So it does happen. But again, with a process where you do it, you run a couple of test emails out to you, and maybe another email address, and make sure it looks nice, the format and the names and the fields all look good, and then do the mass send. So always do a quick QA before any sort of automation, or automatic or mass emailing. Cool. So that was about personalized outreach. The second tip here is proactive outreach, and this is where, again, if you're just starting your business and you only have a few leads, you know everything about those leads, and you know exactly when you want to follow up. But as you're building out your opportunities and your leads database here, use the reminders and any automation features in the systems to schedule regular client check-ins. So a lot of times you can say, like, I just spoke with the lead and they said, check back with me in a couple of weeks. I'm busy now. So you don't want to bug them in the next couple of weeks because they're busy, but do have a reminder in there after you're done with the call. Just go and say a reminder to email Jane with an updated copy of the proposal with the new timeline, for example, right? So and then maybe like if the client says, um, I'm going to be in town, I want to meet up with you, or maybe you'll be, in their town and you want to meet up with them in person. So any way you can be sort of ahead of the curve in terms of reaching out to the client, getting back to them exactly when they ask you for something, or if you made a commitment to deliver something by end of day tomorrow or by the end of the week, set up those reminders. Use these features within the CRM to be ahead of, timely and ahead of the curve, which we'll talk about in a second. But also any way you can be proactive in your outreach, and you can, for example, if you want to have, especially if your CRM has some sort of marketing automation, some lead nurturing capabilities, maybe you want to have a drip campaign where you can send relevant, timely, useful information to your leads on maybe on a weekly cadence as you're talking to them about some service that you're offering. So again, think of, how do I add value to the client? I don't want to spam their inbox. I don't want to just call them every other day and annoy them. But how do I add value to the client, and how can I be proactive about it? And then finding these features in the CRMs to do so will help you a lot moving the deal forward. Let's pause and see what other questions we have. Can I use the CRM to market to clients I'm already working with? So yes, short answer is yes. And I think depending on the CRM that you're using, sometimes some of these, let's say, marketing. So for those of us who may be new to this whole concept of CRMs, and maybe you haven't tuned in to the previous episodes. So basically, the way I like to think of a CRM, a customer relationship management system, is basically, think of it as a spreadsheet, massive spreadsheet. It's more complicated than that. But you have, like, every row is a client, is a lead, and then the columns is metadata, data about this lead, their first name, their last name, their phone number, their email, their company, the vertical they're in, and then any other type of data that is important for you, that context about the lead, right? So, and then, are they qualified? Are they not qualified? All of that. Same thing for, like, if you are about to, you qualified the lead, and it's an opportunity for you to actually sell them something. So you can track these opportunities. So if part of the CRM is capturing that data about sales and all the information you gather and having it in one place, and then the system will help you act on that data. So in a way, if you think about it purely from a sales perspective, you've got marketing got you the lead, and then you are following up with the lead to close that deal. So you could be your own solopreneur. It's just you now in the business. So you're wearing the marketing hat and you are wearing the sales hat. But I want you to think about the business in a, like, marketing is one thing, sales is another thing. So if you are using, for example, like a system like a HubSpot, there's this idea, this concept of lead nurturing, of marketing automation, where you are sending information. Someone signs up to your newsletter, you send them a welcome email, and then there's a drip campaign where every day for the first few days they get an email from you every day, right? So there is this is in a way marketing to someone who attract you, who came to your website and submitted a form. So if you're thinking of this as nurturing the lead, okay, it's sales. If you're thinking about it, they're not a qualified lead, I want to qualify them and bring them to the sales side of the house. So that's marketing. So again, people call, especially small businesses and new business owners, they don't have huge number of leads and like a salesperson and a marketing person. What I'm trying to say is, if you want to use a system to nurture that relationship with someone who just contacted you, that typically would be called marketing, to make sure they're qualified and they turned as a MQL, marketing qualified lead in the HubSpot lingo. If you want to use the system to do that, yes, the system can do it. If the lead is already qualified, you can also use the system to maybe help them get more educated about the services that you offer. If they have specific pain point, you can address it with sharing case studies or white papers, or sharing, some industry report. So the idea of marketing to a client, an existing client, a lead or a client, yes, you might have to buy maybe another feature from the provider. For example, if you're using Salesforce, there's the Sales Cloud that's all about sales and leads and opportunities and tracking all that, and then there's the Marketing Cloud product where you use it for lead nurturing and marketing automation. So long story short is, yes, you want to use the system to both nurture the leads and also to market to the lead, to the existing clients. In some CRMs, you have some of those features baked in the CRM, and others you have to buy another module or maybe integrate with something else. I hope I did not confuse you. I think I went all over the place with this answer. Let me know. Let me know if you have any specific scenario, and I'll address it later. So next, the third tip is on timely follow-ups. If you tell a client, as I said earlier, you want to get them that proposal or that case study, or maybe you want to have someone technical on your team speak with them by end of day tomorrow or by end of week, make sure you do it by then. And that action, that sales interaction or that planned sales activity, it needs to be tracked. So timely follow-ups are really important in sales, and use the software, use the system to add reminders and to track the client interactions, and then to flag follow-up opportunities. Also, if you, let's say you're used to use tasks and do things on your calendar, let's say, and you use Gmail, the Google Suite, they're all most of these systems now integrate with calendars and other types of systems. So if you use other systems to track your own activities and to schedule things on your own calendar, check out with your CRM website or maybe your sales rep and see if you can integrate that software that you're using with the CRM. That will make your life much easier. You don't have to change the way you do things. And keep in mind that why am I saying timely follow-ups? Because a client frustrated by the lack or a delay or a delayed response, they might just slip away and never return. These follow-ups and using the CRM to track these follow-ups and make sure the clients are happy, and it's professional. It all helps you keep that trust and that positive impression that you have with your client, and that rapport you're building with your client. So follow-ups are important. Use the system to help you do those follow-ups. On to the fourth tip here, knowledge sharing. And I mean this both internally and externally. So you can store a lot of information in these CRM systems. So make it a habit to centralize, to use these platforms to centralize client information and insights gained from these interactions. This is helpful for you because you'll forget if you don't do it as you have more leads. And then if you have a colleague who's going to take over a sales activity once you're out, let's say you're out for a couple of weeks for whatever reason, or let's say you hire a new salesperson and you have 100 leads and 20 opportunities, you want to be able to share the knowledge about this and all the context that you have about leads and clients with these people in an efficient manner. So having all that information in a CRM will help you share that knowledge efficiently. Also, externally, a lot of times, we lose track of what we send to clients. So if you have, especially if you've been around for a little bit and you've developed different assets that you think your client will benefit from. For example, you just wrote a blog post on on something that's important to the client. On you are a service provider, you're solving problems, and in my mind, every time you solve a problem for a client, this whatever you've done there, the good work you've done, is a candidate to be into a marketing asset, maybe a case study, one page describing, like, here's the problem, here's how I approached it, here's the solution, here's the outcome, here's how the client benefited. It could be that's a case study. Those are super helpful to show clients that you know the stuff, and you've helped others. You can also have a blog post. You can, if you're active on social media, you can have, obviously, you can be posting on these things, whether it's a video, a short or long form video, or it could be something you do on whichever platform you're active on. So sharing, we lose track of what we shared with clients. So make once you have an understanding of what the issue is that the client is facing, and you sort of, in your mind, you have a plan to convince them that you can help them solve that problem, you want to share that information with them. And whether it's something, again, you do on whichever of these platforms, track what you're sending to them and make sure you have a plan to send them the information that will help them make a decision that's favorable to you, that is buying from you. Now, a lot of what I'm saying here applies to people who have a longer sales cycle. If your sales cycles spans a few weeks, everything I said is applicable. Like if your sales cycle is just a couple of days, obviously there's not a whole lot of time to do a lot of lead nurturing in that sense. But if you have a very short sales cycle, then you're going to be very close to the client, and you still need to track your activities. But maybe you're sending them, maybe all the information you have is on your website, and you can just point to it, and they can buy from your website. So again, you still want to track that they came your way, where they came from, whether they're qualified or not. All that is important to track. But in terms of marketing, lead nurturing, it's really the amount of effort you do, and the type of things you do in terms of nurturing will be different based on your sales cycle and the service that you are offering. And then the last of the 5 practical tips is metrics and reporting. I want you to make sure you are leveraging the data that you have in the CRMs to the max. So with any business process, CRM or otherwise, you want to track critical metrics or key performance indicators, KPIs, to evaluate the effectiveness of its use. So if you're using an accounting system, you want to make sure you have good data in there, and you're getting your monthly P&L statement, and you have everything categorized properly. And for CRMs, if you are putting data in, you should be able to leverage some amazing dashboarding capabilities that a lot of these systems today have. And you don't have to do any customization to a lot of these dashboards. They come out of the box with sample reports and dashboards. So in the beginning, just use the default metrics available in the dashboard. And then over time, a few weeks down the road, a couple of months down the road, as your needs for data will evolve, you start to look at, okay, I don't want to just look at a number of leads and the list of leads and how many of them are qualified and unqualified. That's maybe easy out of the box. I want to start to look at where are the qualified leads are coming from, and where are the unqualified leads coming from, which marketing campaign I'm spending a lot of time and money on, and it's bringing me zilch, nothing, no leads. I want to know that, right? So if you're tracking that type of activity in your CRM, you want to start to drill down and get these, segment your data by what's important to you. Maybe you want to look at things like the average sales cycle, like how long it takes from the time I get a qualified lead to the time I close a deal. So if you're tracking all your steps in the CRM and you're following the system as it's intended to, labeling every stage of the opportunity, the system can give you that view of the data. And then let's say at the end of the quarter, you pull this dashboard that shows you all your opportunities and how long it took to get to close these opportunities. You can get some very useful data on the average time to close the deal. And then you can model your sales plan and your cash flow and all that for the next quarter based on the data from the previous quarter. And again, the list goes on. But to summarize, initially start using what comes out of the box. Um, and then as you get more familiar and you're using that data in your weekly activities with your yourself and maybe your salesperson, and later you can customize things within the systems. And in other cases, as your needs are become more advanced, you might have to develop customized dashboards outside of the CRM. Maybe you want to use Google's Looker Studio or Tableau or whatever data visualization tool that you like to use, or maybe a pivot table in Excel. So all that will be available, but do it gradually. Don't have to jump into the deep end right away. Cool. So those were the 5 tips. I have a bonus tip for you, but before we do that, let's see what questions we have. What metrics should I pay attention to? I mean, I covered a few metrics already, or a few scenarios in terms of dashboarding. Sorry, but I would say you have leads and you have opportunities. So leads, again, total number of leads per pay period, total number of per period, not pay period, per period, total number of qualified leads per period. Look at percentage of qualified leads relative to all the leads you're getting. Look at things like I said earlier, where are the qualified leads coming from? That's really important. That could inform your marketing efforts. So those are certain things. In terms of opportunities, look how many opportunities, how long is it taking me to close opportunities. You can look at, if you're looking at sort of from a cash flow perspective, you can, and I believe we did have some sample. I just remembered, we did have some sample dashboards in a previous episode, and where I went when we talked about the DIY CRM. I created a few dashboards for you for leads and a few for opportunities. So that will give you that visibility into maybe like over the next few quarters, how many opportunities do I have, and based on when I anticipate to close, that could inform my cash flow analysis, right? So check out the DIY CRM session. We had a live stream. We did show you some examples, and then we have the CRM guide, an article, long article on the website. It does have also some snapshots and some of reports and dashboards and metrics you get from the tools, from the CRM tools out there. Cool. And again, metrics and KPIs, key performance indicators, every business is going to be different. There's some common things that you'll need, as I mentioned earlier, but then you might have a specific need based on your the service you offer, based on, if you have multiple people selling, for example, you want to have some reports around their performance and how they're doing so you can support them better. So all of that's going to depend on the business and the stage you're in. Cool. Now, a bonus tip. Process. This might sound boring, but it is important. Continuous improvement. Continuous improvement is key to optimizing CRM processes for your business. Continuous improvement is important for every process. And by the way, no matter how great we are, there's always room for improvement. And I think one effective, like, how do I turn this into practice? One effective strategy is to conduct quarterly reviews. You can do this monthly. I would say quarterly, especially in early stages, maybe monthly, but later, quarterly reviews of your data, the data of the data that you have in your CRM, to see what gaps you have and what areas for improvement exist. So, for instance, you can access whether all the necessary client information is being captured, and whether any data entry or maybe integration issues, maybe you're pulling data from other systems into the CRM, they're causing bottlenecks for you or for your team. Let's say you want to segment your lead. Let's say you're looking at your data and you say, you know what, I want to send industry specific content. I have 3 case studies, one in healthcare, one in finance, and one in hospitality. And you have leads in those verticals. So you say, you know what, based on what I heard in one of those live streams by Startup with Ferris, I said, personalize the outreach, right? So if you want to personalize the outreach to the clients in these 3 verticals, healthcare, hospitality, and finance, you want to go and get a report to segment your list, and you don't have that data. So now you know that I need to populate a field, and I would call it, sector or vertical, and I might have to go back, and if I have 200 records, I have to manually maybe, enter each vertical, each sector, This way I can have that view, the aggregate view, and then I can segment. Or maybe if you only have, if you're just starting out, make sure that you populate that data as you enter the lead, first name, last name, email, phone number, what have you. Make sure every every important piece of information that you need to better market to and nurture that lead, make sure you capture it. Again, don't go overboard, because these systems, they can come with like 100 or like 50 or 60 fields for you to populate. So it could be overwhelming, and that could be one of the reasons why people don't want to start using a CRM. So my previous advice, and I think last episode we said, use these things gradually. So enter the most important data that you think you can act on in the short term, and then in these quarterly reviews, in these process improvement review sessions I mentioned, look for ways to populate more data, or to make sure that the data is entered accurately by you and then other people who are using the system. So, so don't, we all get bogged down, and we're very busy, heads down and on the day-to-day business responsibilities. But every once in a while, monthly and or quarterly, you want to spend some time on the business, on the systems, on the processes, so that you can improve, in the next period. So that is, there you have it. The 5 tips and a bonus one. We'll jump into the lessons learned and some of the stories from the trenches. But before we do that, let's see what questions we have. Can I learn how to use a CRM effectively on my own, or do I have to do special training or get a consultant? Yes, yes, and yes. So yes, one of our black belt. We have a number of principles here at Startup with Ferris, and we call them the black belt principles. So one of them is learn, implement, then seek advice. So my recommendation is, if you're looking to choose a system, watch the episode on choosing a CRM. We gave you some criteria and help you along that process there to get a system. But let's say you already bought a CRM system. So go and learn about it. I want you, as a business owner or as a sales manager, dabble with these new systems, learn them, understand what they're made to do, and how they're used, and be a role model, in using these systems. So I want you to learn about them, especially for business owners. You got to know these various aspects of the business before you can then find someone to outsource to, or maybe to delegate to. So use the material that's available on the websites for these vendors. A lot of these vendors give you either a free system, it won't have all the capabilities, but you can get a free subscription for maybe a subset of the features, or you can get it a 30-day trial, what have you. You probably can negotiate with a sales rep to extend that trial to 60 days, but get that platform. It is an important system, important process for your business. It's critical. It's essential. I don't know what other adjective to use here. So investing time in learning this is important. I would say, don't rush and hire a consultant right away. I think learn about it from the material available on the vendor's website. If they have webinars, attend and ask questions, put it to use for a week, 2 or 3, 4. And then at that point, once you are using the system, jot down the things that are not working as you like them to work, or maybe things are set up in a certain way and you want to maybe enhance the workflow. Like when I close a task, I want the system to immediately create another task. So some systems will this automation will help you. You don't have to spend more time entering data. So some systems allow you to customize this workflow, or sometimes you have to get a programmer. So my recommendation: learn on your own, use the system, and then jot down how you want to improve it or where you're stuck, and then seek the help of a consultant who can maybe for a few hours can maybe tweak it. If you have obviously like a large company and you have a lot of salespeople, like enterprise level, that's a different story. You would potentially need to get someone to help you from the get-go. Otherwise, everybody will be using their system, their own way. It'll be a crazy chaos. So that is on learning. Yes, learn, do, implement, and then seek advice. So we covered those tips, the 5 tips and the bonus tip. And then the last section here of this session is on things that I did that I don't want you to do, the mistakes I made. So I want to go over what the first CRM that we've ever adopted, and the way we I've seen a lot of successful implementations of CRMs. I advise a lot of founders and including nonprofits and also business owners on selecting and implementing CRMs, and most of them I see splendid success. But obviously, the we learn we learn from our successes, but we should learn from our mistakes. So my favorite case study is my own, and I want to share with you what I did so you don't do that same mistake. So back in 2008, I think 2007 or 2008, my partners and I, we've been growing the business now for 5 years. We're using all sort of spreadsheets and Excel sheets and I don't know, Word documents and Post-it and whatnot. That's how we were managing our leads and clients. And then I was at a networking event, and then another business owner said, "Hey, this new thing called CRMs are amazing. I've saved so much time with it. It organized all my sales data, and now I'm focusing on growing the business." So I wanted to find out more. So I did a bit of research and then heard good things about Salesforce at the time. Again, I'm not favoring Salesforce. They were an amazing client of ours in my last company. We were a Salesforce partner, but a lot of the tools out there today are strong as well. But we happened to use Salesforce at the time, and I guess they had a catchy tagline says the no software or the end of software, because everything was that's sort of the when the cloud was a thing, and everybody was using at the time software that you buy and implement on your own computers, and it was hard to get these software up and running. So that was the tagline from Salesforce, and it attracted me, and I didn't have to worry about installing software on my computer. And I signed up for the trial, playing around with it, as I said, and then I canceled because I didn't have the time to give it my full attention. It was too complicated. Not long after that, I got an email from their VP of marketing. I think I still have that email somewhere stored today. And they made a strong case to use it and convinced me and gave me a discount. And I think I paid like $65 a month for one seat, for one license. So I said, okay, I'm paying $65 a month. That was a lot of money for us at the time to spend. And I got to put it to use. And I put it to use. And then it really made a big difference. And here's the thing where we start to bring on more people who will use the system. And then we had a salesperson, and then we had later 2 salespeople. So the 3 of us, myself and 2 other salespeople, and we're all using this one license, one seat, because I guess I was cheap or trying to save a buck. And the way we figured out that we can do reporting, I would put my first initials on my leads, and then the other guy, John, would put his first initial, and the other person would put his first initial. That's how and then we create reports based on the first initial, right? So a cumbersome way of using a system, and it wasn't intended to be used that way. And yes, we saved, instead of paying $65 a month per person, there were 3 of us, we only paying 1. So we were saving $130 a month. So silly, so cheap now that I think about it. And later, the team, understood money was tight. So they were nice about it, but they said, "Hey, Ferris, like, we're wasting our time using the system, 1 seat." So we ended up investing in 3 seats, 3 licenses, and then a huge difference again in terms of everybody is fully on board in using that system, adding all their information, and we're not trying to again be cheap and just use 1 license. So you might have to be creative as a new business owner, but at one point, when you're seeing the potential of a system or a process, invest more in it. It will pay off in different ways. Now, another thing here is we did not excuse me, we as now that the 3 of us who are using the system, our needs evolved. So I need to look at a report, not just for my own leads, but the leads and the opportunities coming from the other 2 salespeople. And I need to get some customized dashboards, as I said earlier. And I want to make sure if I get a lead, I want to pass it to John, the system will notify John, and then things will be put on his calendar. So at that time, after several months, we went and found a CRM consultant. I I think we paid $2,000 for, I don't know, I think it was like 10 hours of consulting, and they helped us improve the workflow and make sure things are automated. And again, that made a huge difference in the time we were spending in terms of data entry and reporting. So that's what I would recommend. As I said earlier, use the system as is. As you get more people, as your needs evolve, bring on someone to help you optimize the workflow for your own needs. And later, when we branched out to and started another sister company in Dubai at the time, we ended up, whatever we invested in that first business, we used the same principles and applied the same thing to the CRM that they used there. So if something works for you, apply it, as you grow your business, or maybe as you grow your different services, or you have maybe a new location, you can use the lessons you learned from one business into another, or maybe you, as you're learning, and you're scaling, you can pass this knowledge on to the next person that you hire. So I want to end with 3 lessons learned and takeaways, and I'll go over these quickly. As a leader, as a business owner, number 1, model the behavior that you want, that culture you want to create, in sales and otherwise. So, spending hundreds of dollars, and some businesses, they spend thousands of dollars on software, but if you don't put the effort to understand it, to use it, to apply it, to be the champion of that software, then your team will not use it. So you got to model the behavior. So every time you speak with a lead, every time you get a new lead, every time you go to a networking event, come back and enter the data in the system. So when you are doing your weekly review with your team, they'll see that you enter the data. And if you don't have your own team yet, when you look at the data on a weekly basis, you'll have that you'll have the insights, you'll have the actions that you're supposed to take next week, that you're supposed to make next week, so that you can again follow up on leads. So if you don't use the system as a leader, as a business owner, trust me, other people will not use it as seriously, will not use it as thoroughly as they should. And at the end of the day, any system, we know the old saying, garbage in, garbage out. So if you put your data in a hurry and you don't put the right time to follow up, or the right vertical this lead is from, or what the next steps are, then the system, the data is not going to be very useful. So as a leader, you got to lead by example. You got to, even some of the mundane tasks that are part of any software, like data entry, you got to do it. You got to do it religiously, and trust me, people will sense that, and they'll follow up and use it, and they'll probably impress you by how they're using it, maybe in ways that you did not think of. So that's the number one of the lessons here, is you got to lead by example. And ask me how I learned is, again, I wasn't practicing what I'm preaching now, but then once I did, and that's something I learned from someone else, I saw a huge difference in the way that my team was adopting the use of a CRM. The second thing is use reports. We alluded to this earlier, but I want you to make it a habit to on everyone's calendars, whether it's last thing you do on Friday or first thing you do on Monday, you got to look at the leads and the opportunities. It's not like, let's get on a sales call, especially if you have a lead generation person or a salesperson with you. So yeah, what did we do last week? Like, what were the hot opportunities? Do we have any new closed deals? That's just not the way to do things. You want to be systematic. So pull the data from the CRM leads from last week, all the qualified leads, all the hot leads, all the hot opportunities, like all the leads that you send proposals to. Look at it that way from the system, and make it again part of your business DNA on a weekly basis, 100%. You don't want to be kind of looking at this data on a quarterly basis. So like I said, we've shared some sample KPIs and metrics and dashboard in a previous episode. You can check those out. But the lesson here, that if you don't model that behavior in entering data, if you don't model the behavior of looking at the data consistently on a weekly basis, then you'll be missing. You won't have the visibility into the business, into the sales, and then your team will not, I think, take the system as seriously. So as a founder, you may initially, feel like you're losing control when you're delegating. But having these systems and these reports will help you track the progress that your team members are making or maybe not making, and then see how you can support your team members get back on track if they're struggling with something. And the last lesson learned here is clearly define terms. People have different ideas of what a lead is. People have different ideas of what a qualified lead is. I think if I met someone at a networking event and said, yeah, your business sounds interesting, I might consider them qualified. My business partner or my salesperson, they might be, I want to make sure they have a budget. I want to make sure they are looking for someone. I want to make sure the time frame is within the next few weeks. Maybe that's how your partner or maybe your salesperson, that's how they qualify the lead. So if you're labeling something a qualified lead based on certain criteria, and other people in your organization are labeling your leads as qualified based on other criteria, then when you look at the data, again, it's going to be messy. It's you're not looking at the right thing. So make sure that you define all these terms, the fields you have, the fields that you are using in the CRM, define them to something that makes sense for your business. So what is a qualified lead? And again, if you look at the DIY CRM, we had a tab in that sheet that we gave you a list of things you can define for your business. So if you, for example, when you say, I created a proposal, and you add to the stage in the CRM, you add proposal. Did you mean that the client is interested in a proposal, or we submitted a proposal? That makes a difference, because if you're looking at how many proposals I send, and the data does not reflect all the proposals you send, it also includes people who want a proposal, then you're looking at the wrong data. The data is inaccurate. So be very diligent in defining the terms for all these fields that you are using in the CRM, and make sure you're reviewing this with your team. And again, if you're doing this religiously, consistently every week, then things that are out of place will pop up, and you'll ask your let's say your business partner or the other person who's using the system says, I have 3 opportunities with a proposal. So you ask them, did you send the proposal? They said, no, I'm working on a proposal. Say, okay, well, this is not how we defined the word proposal in the sales cycle, in the sales stages. So define every term, every field that you'll be using in every drop-down element, and make sure it's consistently used according to that definition across your organization. So that's what we want to cover today. The practical tips, the 5 and the bonus, and then these 3 lessons learned. One about you as a leader, modeling the behavior, and second is about, we talked about excuse me, using the data and using it religiously, on a weekly basis. And third, we covered defining the terms for the different fields that you are using in the CRM, and clearly defining those terms. Now, to summarize here, concluding, in this series, we've covered a lot of topics. So it's a lot to consume, it's a lot to absorb, a lot to digest. But what you want to do is invest time in this process of selecting a key and essential system for your business. So if you are in the sort of early stages of starting a business, growing a sales arm for your business, you probably want to look at this essential, why CRMs are essential for you to capture and streamline your sales data and your sales process. We talked about in a previous session about how to track leads and how to track interactions and how to act on that data. We talked about how you improve, how you use CRMs to improve client relationships, how you optimize these workflows, and you provide timely information for your clients. We covered selecting the right CRM. This is where we all get stuck. Like, okay, I get it, I understand, I gotta have a CRM, but which one do I choose? So documenting requirements, and we covered some tips how to choose the right CRM for your business. And then my recommendation: spend some time, check out a couple of trials, compare different vendors, speak with their salespeople, see which one fits your needs, and then invest. Two things: invest in training. You learn it, train others, invest in people. We talked about that 90-10 rule or 80-20 rule. If you're spending $1 on software, spend $9 on training, on on administration of the tool, on adoption of the tool, and last but not least, continuous improvement. Conduct regular reviews of your CRM data, and have these reviews. Spend the time to make the data better, cleaner, so that you and your salespeople, your team, they have what they need to, again, to connect better with the leads and close more deals. So that's it. We covered a lot in this series. We'll include the links to all these sessions in the description. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button if you're liking this content, and then on the startupwithfaraz.com, go ahead and check out the Daily Advisor, our daily newsletter, where we provide tips and strategies on how to start, grow, and scale your business to 7 and 8 figures. See you next time.